In this episode 14, season 2 of my podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, I sit down with Arthur Galan.
Great to be here.
An amazing designer who has dressed some of the biggest names in the world, including Orlando Bloom, Nicole Kidman, and now myself, Chris Christophe. We talk about the importance of looking good, having great style, and how the Aussie bloke, as Arthur says, has really stepped up their game. Entrepreneurship, and how he's gone through all the struggles, through being in retail, through being through GFCs, and still getting out the other end stronger. This is one amazing lifestyle episode, and for the first time ever, even had a glass of wine while filming it with my great Greek friend Arthur. Thank you very much. Hi, Chris Christophe here on my podcast with a very special guest, Arthur Galan. Thank you for joining us, mate.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, for those who don't know, Arthur is a very prominent designer all around Australia. Tell us a bit about your journey, Arthur.
Oh, look, we started in '98. For the last 20 years, we launched menswear, then decided to add women's. Thought that was way too much for one guy doing two collections, so I went back to focusing on the boys head to toe. And now today we do everything from tuxedos to sneakers. So it's a really nice collection that I'm very proud of. Something that's based on quality. My European background has a little bit of influence. I'm a fabric nut, so for me the textile and the feel and the texture is key. But at the end of the day, it's all about making the guy look good and make him sort of feel like he stands out in a crowd and very proud to be wearing what he's wearing. So that's my philosophy.
And I love fashion too, and I've come in, I can see how passionate you are what you do, and you've dressed some major celebrities all around the world. Tell us some of the people that you have actually dressed.
Oh, look, it's exciting. It's sort of, Orlando Bloom, when we were doing women's wear, Nicole Kidman, Jessica Alba, that was really fun. I must say, one of the most exciting was, a few of the old school supermodels. Helena Christensen, I made her a tuxedo dress. And that was just probably one of the highlights. You're a kid and you've got all these supermodels that you sort of, you see and you hear about, Naomi Campbell and all those girls, and all of a sudden you're dressing one of them and you think, wow, this is a bit surreal, but it's fun, and at the end of the day, we're all people, and we all just want to have a good time, and we all want to look good, and that's what I sort of, that's what I love. I love menswear, I love women's wear, but my passion always, it's interesting, you always sort of think to yourself, you always go back to what's in your heart. And we started as menswear, women's wear came on board, it was an exciting time. Got a little bit rocky there for a while, and sometimes things don't always go to plan, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and my wife always says to me, you know what, no one died, so don't worry.
It's a very good philosophy. Now, you had over 20 stores.
We did.
You're growing, you're in Chatston, now we're currently sitting on Chapel Street in a lovely store.
Yes.
You're very passionate about what you do. I bought quite a few pants off you today, and I'm heads to toe in Arthur Galan as well. Gears, as you can see, extremely comfortable, and as you can see by the gentleman, he's so passionate about his product. Tell us a bit about all that.
Look, for me, product always starts off with the raw material. It's very much about, finding a beautiful fabric and really creating something that a guy wants to wear. I go to Europe twice a year. There's a couple of fabric fairs and shoe fairs that I go to every February and September, and that's where I sort of source. My biggest inspiration is actually the fabric, and that really sort of gets the creative juices flowing and really starts the whole process of what a collection looks like. Sometimes you can start from one cloth and you almost build the jigsaw puzzle and create this collection from what might be a jacket to then, the t-shirts complemented to then sort of like the tuxedo in the same colors to sort of, and you piece it all together and you end up with all of this. And one of the most exciting things is that, when I started 22 years ago, the Aussie male has come such a long way. Whether it's the influence of sportsmen, whether it's the influence of whatever it is, it's just something that guys love looking good. Look, unfortunately this year we didn't have a spring carnival, but spring carnival is a prime example of, it used to be all about the girls with their dresses and headpieces. Guys take so much effort in getting dressed up for something like an event, for something like Spring Carnival, and head to toe, the suit, the pocket square, the lapel pin, the tie, the shoes, the whole bit, and that's exciting for me. That really inspires me. When you sort of look, you sort of look at your clients and they're going through the racks and they're sort of, their eyes light up and you think, oh, this is great, because you sort of, every piece is your baby, and you agonize over every little part of it. And I think that's something that I love, the fact that men are appreciating what they wear so much more. And it's not just about, it's not just about the utility aspect of getting dressed. It's more about the looking good and not being afraid to stand out in a crowd.
And look, that's important. And when you said as well, making someone feel good is a great feeling, obviously, for yourself, and I can see how passionate you are. I remember I heard John Travolta speak, and he's very meticulous with how he dresses. And his words were, I dress well, so I'm pleasing on other people's eyes as well. And I never looked at it that way. I dress well because I want to feel good, and I like looking in the mirror and feeling confident. But when I heard his aspect, that it was a very interesting take to say, I dress well because wouldn't it be nice if you to see me dressed and made more of an effort? And I go, never seen it that way. Yeah. And another thing that I thought very interesting, when I saw the documentary on Gianni Versace, how inspired he was by materials, how much he loved what he did. Of course he produced great clothes when you can hear, and I hear that a lot from you now, the way you're talking about your clothes, dressing people up in the passion. How can that not translate into a good finished product or a passion?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a beautiful wool, all our suiting, all the wools come from northern Italy. Of course, the Italians come out here, they buy our merino wool, they take it back there, they weave it into beautiful fabric. I go and buy it, make beautiful suits. But, it is that passion over, do we use this beautiful black, or is that black going to make the perfect black suit? The detail is so, I suppose, particular, but it makes a difference, and I think, people have a different sort of, I've noticed a different philosophy in the way people are thinking. It's let's buy less, but let's buy something that's great. Let's buy something that's gonna make me feel good. Let's not just buy loads of clothing. Let's buy pieces that make, I suppose, a statement for a long time.
So in your wardrobe that are staple pieces, do you think it makes a difference in Melbourne or in Australia that we're such a multi-ethnicity place where we've got so many different fashions and stuff like that? The men are starting to look after how they look a lot more. Do you think that plays a factor in it?
It does. Look, I totally believe that it does. We've got more of a Mediterranean European influence in Melbourne. And all the, my parents are, Greeks, all the Italians and Greeks that live here, or will live here and migrated here, influenced, the way people dressed. And
I love that.
And I think that that's sort of something that's inspiring, and I think that everyone's into it now. It's every bloke wants to make a bit more of an effort, and I think that's sort of what keeps me going. When I just sort of think that, the fact that I'm thinking about that cotton or that cotton, what's going to look good, what's going to drape well, what's going to, fit well on the body. When guys appreciate that, it just makes you want to push yourself to make it even better. And I think,
it is.
It is. And we are a little bit dressier in Melbourne because of that European influence. We are a bit dressier, and that's great. And Sydney probably is a little bit more casual, but they like to dress up. It's a different sort of, we all like to dress up, and it's exciting. It's exciting that everyone makes an effort, and it's not just about the girls anymore. The blokes are right there, and they're looking good. They're making sure that they sort of, stand on their own and really sort of put in the pieces to the outfit. And not that it's too thought about. You want to make it easy, but you just want to make it so it's, there's a certain little sharpness to it.
But even though you said it's thought about, if it's something that you're passionate about, and I hear you talk, I talk about real estate and wealth creation like that. It's not thought about. When you love and it's so passionate, you can talk about it for hours upon hours. Because when I hear you talk about fabric and I reminisce on how to talk about real estate, I can talk about it 24/7, 8 days a week, because it's just something that I love. Yeah. And you being able to give someone that feeling of looking fantastic. Now I want to ask you a couple of questions. You've been a business owner now for how many years?
We started in '98. Okay. Before that, I finished uni, commerce degree at Melbourne Uni, worked in finance for a year and a half. I thought, this is not in my heart. Let's just, grandfather was a tailor, mum's a tailor. I thought, let's try something different. Let's open I knew lots of people in the area because my parents had 2 tailoring shops here, which they still do. And you know, they all used to say to me, "Oh, we can't get stuff made the way we want it made." So I set up a little manufacturing business, and I was manufacturing for a lot of designer brands, and that's how this started. Arthur Galan started to fill in those months of the year where you were where you had production downtime for what you were making for everyone else, and you know, have something to keep all the cutters, the machinists, all that sort of going, and that's how the brand actually was born. To sort of as
your mum still works here, doesn't she?
She does. She's she's upstairs. She's upstairs, and you know, if you buy a suit here, she's probably going to be the one that's going to do the tailoring for you, along with the two others. But she loves it. You know, she's as passionate. She's as passionate about it as I am, except on a Saturday afternoon when she's been bombarded by a million people that say, "Please, I've got to wear this tonight. You've got to alter it for me." By that stage, she's like, "No," but it's cool. It's cool, and I think that sort of, you know, it's exciting. It's fun. It's fun.
I want to. Sorry.
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. Being the fact that you're in retail and fashion, you've probably been amongst the top 3 industries that have been hit the most were fitness, retail, or fashion, and hospitality.
Yeah.
How's someone like yourself being able to weather the storm due to COVID? Now we're finally coming out the other end, which I'm very grateful that businesses like yourself and even myself can go back to normal.
Yes.
How will we able to weather that storm?
Look, I think for me personally, 5 years ago we went through a really rough time. The business was very different. 20 stores, now we've sort of, it's scaled back to a very different business. And I think when you've had tough times in your business career, it toughens you up, and you get through these storms a little bit easier. And it's interesting, my wife would sort of say to me, whenever she'd see me a bit down about, how things went down, she said to me, just, you know what, don't worry. You're still, we're still alive. We're still punching. And I think this was something that, it's tough. It's tough to have your store closed. And I think, this second lockdown, it was really tough to stay positive. But, to be honest, you've got 2 kids at home, and you need to find a way to keep the wheels turning, and put food on the table and keep feeding them and keep paying the bills. You just need to find a way. And I think that sort of keeps you going. Family is quite important.
And being the same, it's not if, it's how. I guess when you're an entrepreneur, you just got to find a way. How old are your little ones?
My son's 17 and my daughter's 13.
Oh, I've got a 17-year-old son as well and 3 daughters, so I understand.
So you've just got to keep it going, and you've just got to find a way. And like you said, it's not if, it's just how. And you find a way, because, as I said, when your whole sort of career hasn't been Pleasantville the whole way, it sort of makes you tougher, and it makes you sort of weather the storms. A little bit easier, but you never sort of let it swallow you up. And I think, it was tough though, to be honest. The first month was okay, we'll get through this. Second month you think, wow, this is going on for a long time. But the third month you sort of think to yourself, is this ever going to end? Yeah. How are we going to get through another month of this? We're here. And, I'm praying that guys come back and just, start spending again. And we've been open for 2 weeks, and it's exciting because there has been, a lot of pent-up demand.
You've been happy with the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, look, it's been good. So far, so good. It's not, we missed Spring Racing Carnival this year, which is a tough one to miss because it's big for us.
That would be one of the biggest for you, wouldn't it?
Look, to be honest, it's our biggest week of the year. It's bigger than Boxing Day week. It's bigger than any other week. That week of the year is our biggest week of the year. To be honest, we missed it, but, next year will be bigger and better. So I think for us, changing the range a bit. Everyone's working from home, not as much suiting, more casual, cool little jersey jackets like what you're wearing. There's a little plug there, guys. But that sort of thing. It's different. You've got to change, and you can't just be stuck. It's hard, and for me, to be honest, my biggest thing in the past was always like, always hard. Creature of habit. But when things like this happen, you've got to find a way. I mean, who would have thought that the third category down on our online store was face masks? If someone had said that to me a year ago, I would have thought, oh, are you crazy? Crazy. But you know what? If there's a demand for face masks and we can make some cool ones, if you've got to wear them, let's wear some cool ones. So
you're in fashion, of course.
So we make them fashionable. That's it. So you know what? If you're going to wear them, wear nice ones. So we did that, and and that's something that I suppose for us. kept us all going. It's talk about my mum who's upstairs. Keeps her going. Kept her going through this whole thing. Not sitting at home and nothing to do, and that was the hardest thing. It's when you don't have something to do, it's hard just to sort of you get up every morning and you think, how am I going to get through another day? But we're here. We're happy. We've got some really cool stuff and in the collection, and I think you just need to really just try and let's we're not going to forget that, but we will just move on and think. In a few years we'll think, Jesus, what a year! What was that? That was just that went on forever.
Look, and like what you said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it makes you resilient. So I feel in Melbourne and Victoria particularly, it's really tested our entrepreneurs in all different factors, especially the three categories I mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to come out better, stronger.
Yeah.
I hope everyone does support everyone. I'm going to ask you a couple last questions.
Yes.
When was the one point in your career, because you've had ups, you've had GFCs, you've had downs, you've had elections. Like myself, I've been in real estate for 22 years.
Oh, exactly like us. The
So 99 I started, and business I started almost 16 years ago. When was the toughest time that you had? Was it COVID, where you had to say you had to really back yourself, you had to go all in when you were expanding, or was it a point where it could have gone either way? This is on the knife. I can go one way, I can go the other. When was that one time you had to really back yourself to go, I have to go all in here?
Yeah. Was it COVID? It probably was. The last 2 months I've sort of thought, what, are we going to give this a go, and are we going to just do it? And you just do it. And I think experience, same with us, we started in 98, and you need to do it, but you need to really sort of think about what you're doing. You can't just keep doing the same stuff. You've got to just change. And I think that was a tough decision, but it was the right decision for us. So brands go along, and I suppose we're lucky because what we do is from, like I said, from sneakers to tuxedos. In times like this, you need to say, what sells? At the end of the day, I can be as passionate as anything, but at the end of the day, if I haven't got sales going through the till and I've got a shop full of beautiful stock, I'm not going to be here next year.
So what you're basically saying to all the viewers out there as an entrepreneur, where can I diversify my risk? Where can I increase my income streams? Yes. And how do I stay afloat to increase and grow? Yeah. And sometimes through these adversities, and I see a lot of restaurants have opened up different ideas. They've turned their shops into delis. They're doing certain deliveries, and they've opened different ideas. With after COVID, I think it's going to increase all the revenue streams as well. Yeah. Now, so Arthur, recently you've had some amazing news, which I was very happy to hear. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, look, we were brought on to design the new uniforms for the new Crown that they're building in Sydney, and that's so exciting. It is a big project. Everything from bell captains through to dealers, through to Silks, Nobu, restaurants, and it's been such an exciting project, and I'm really proud to be working on this, and the guys at Crown are fantastic to work with, and we're really sort of creating something that's a little bit unique. People make uniforms, but I'm actually creating a collection for Crown. So like I create a fashion collection, I've created a fashion collection for all the uniforms for Crown Sydney, and that's really something that is pretty special, and I want the guys to be proud of what they're wearing.
You're talking about thousands of uniforms. We want to make it fun and engaging.
Oh, absolutely, and make it special. Make it like something that a guy wants to wear.
It's got to be a feather in your cap.
Yeah, look, it is, and I'm very proud of that, and I can't wait for Crown Sydney to open. So for me, it's been, whilst we've had COVID, I've actually been doing that, because after we won the gig to do the design, we also tendered for the manufacturing and won that as well. So that's been really exciting, because my passion in design, I can see it right through to the finished product. And I just can't wait to get up there, and I can't wait for this project to open in December. So it's.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to see it. Now, Arthur, are you ready for my quick fire questions?
Yes.
Tradition and the relentless.
Is it? Okay.
So let's go. Now, the first thing that comes to mind with your answer, you can say pass.
Yes.
Do you have any pets?
Yes.
What's your favourite colour?
Blue.
Oh, that's my favourite colour too. What's your favourite TV show?
Oh. This sounds really, my wife always hounds me about this, Long Lost Family, because family's so important. I love when people find each other.
And Seinfeld?
My wife loves Seinfeld.
All right, so and side for this one for the
One for the wife.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Who was your role model growing up?
Mum.
Describe yourself in 3 words as a teenager.
Oh God, 3 words as a teenager. Always the cruise director, so I was always the one getting everyone together and figuring out where we were going to go and what we were going to do. Fun and studious.
Okay. Now, one item you can't leave the house without besides your phone.
A really good pair of shoes.
Now, give me one pet peeve. What annoys you?
This is going on to the last question, but you know what? Shoes can kill an outfit. A bad shoe.
My shoes all right?
They're good.
All right, good.
They're AG.
Now, a best piece of advice you've ever received?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's a great piece of advice. I live by that. I love that. If you could have one last meal, what would it be?
Pasta.
Pasta. Okay.
And you know, and probably from my mate across the road at Cafe Cucina.
If your house was on fire, you had to run back in to get 2 things. Assuming your family's out, what 2 things would you get?
My blazer and my favourite jeans.
Now, name one book you've read that's positive influence you. Book, magazine, anything.
Oh, positive influence. I like a bit of escapism when I read. So, you know, all those sort of Grisham novels or, you know, all that sort of Ludlam stuff that sort of, you know, there's always a happy ending and I love happy endings. So that's what keeps me going.
Now, who would play you in a movie or the story of your life? Which actor?
That's a tough one. I've never ever thought about that.
I've had some interesting answers on this one.
God. I don't know, that's a tough one. Oh, Jesus. Who would play me? Let me think about this. Can we just take a minute and I'll just let me think about that. Yes.
Any tattoos?
No.
Best gift you've ever received?
Oh. Kids.
Kids. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
The crystal ball.
Okay. If you were not working in your current career in fashion, what would you be doing?
God, I don't know. Being...
Finance?
No, do you know what? Finance was fun, but you know, I'd want to be the guy that brings out the coffees at the beach clubs in on the islands in Greece.
Okay. Now, when you started your career, what was the one thing that you learned? What was the hardest thing you had to learn during your career?
Don't go for the easy option, go for the best option.
Because it will make you stronger. Okay.
Absolutely, and more so about, you know, it's always easy to sort of, it's always quick and easy to make something, it's always easy to make something quickly. It takes a bit more time and a bit more skill and a bit more of an artisan approach to make something well.
I agree. Now, in this whole episode, you've shared a lot of great things about fashion, business and entrepreneurship. Yeah. What are a couple key takeaways you want our listeners to take from this episode? Look,
I think fashion is amazing. It's such a great, inspiring career, but it's hard. And when I say it's hard, you've really got to be passionate about it because it's not champagne and runway shows. It's 3 a.m. finishing a collection before you start showing wholesale. It's, you know, production's running late. What happens? Something's gone wrong.
That's the trophy. People see the trophy and they think that's it, but it's the hard work behind it to get to that show, to win that trophy that's important.
Absolutely. So you can see all these garments hanging on the rack, looking great, but you know what went behind that. And I think that's something that that our industry sometimes, that side of it is key. And I think that's something that, you know, that anyone who looks at this industry, you've got to be real. You've got to be real and you've got to be hardworking. Because
people that see that understand that they glorify trophies or they glorify these award nights, but they don't understand the hard work that goes to get to that point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about a runway show, you're working for weeks, you're putting in that much effort. In 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's over and you think, okay, that was good, but wow, what a lot of effort. And it's very satisfying, but hey, you know, I do it because I love it. And I think that, you know, I'm lucky enough to be doing something that I love. So, you know, I think that is huge.
And last question, scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed the podcast?
11.
There you go. Thank you very much, Arthur.
You made it so easy for me. How could I not enjoy it?
Thank you.